Hello, my name is Mitch Arsenie. I'm a Chicago Public School educator, science educator at Carl High School in Chicago. I'm currently teaching a course titled IB, Environmental Systems and Societies, as well as AP Environmental Science, or APES. And my goal for this summer's CT Summer Institute was to create two content-based units, one around fisheries, one around succession. But after much agonizing, I decided to do something a little bit different, a little bit more unorthodox. And so I created what we call a boot camp or a primer for our students to engage with as we begin a 2-year course sequence that is particularly revolving around the idea of models and systems, and especially a systems approach to teaching science and learning science. So the way I'm envisioning my unit is in a 5-module sequence. We are looking at systems and models, nomenclature, norms, illustrating models, as well as just giving the students a chance to play with these models in sort of this virtual sandbox. And finally, what we'll do at the end is we'll have students examine models for equilibria, tipping points, types of models, and types of equilibria. And finally, really give students a chance to mess around with some, maybe some net-tangle blocks, and maybe with a little bit of the CodeApp and Sage modeler interface to kind of play around with creating their own models, and especially feedback. So let me take a look. Let me show you just quickly what our unit looks like so far. It's a particularly unique sequence. So far, I'm envisioning about 8 lessons, I think. So we're lesson 4 into the creation process of this unit. We begin with an introduction to systems in general, allowing students to draw systems using a variety of tools and really think about systems interactively, and really kind of engaging with the nomenclature and those terms. And finally, having students look at models. In particular, the Gaia hypothesis model, which is fascinating to me, and also my students. Historically, it's the first time that they're really thinking about a model made up of elements and parts that work synergistically together. And also using the model to predict, and this idea of prediction. Finally, we're looking at, and again, we're utilizing the Daisy World model that we modified just slightly. And also in the next step, you'll notice we're using the predator-prey model. However, not the traditional lynx hare, but we're using the wolf-sheep. And we're introducing the idea of grass as well, just to kind of give them a preview of food chains, food webs, refresh their memory a little bit on population dynamics, things that they might or might not remember from freshman biology. And finally, what I'd like to do is head on to the Sage modeler with the students and really engaged with a model like the albedo feedback system for our positive feedback loops. And also really then regress back to the predator-prey model and really examine that predator-prey model through a more analytical way, and to really start thinking about predator-prey in terms of simulated data as well as data that they can recognize, manipulate, and also understand how it's generated. And also really thinking about limits and limitations and strengths and weaknesses of these particular models. And finally, in the very last piece, I would really love for students to engage with code. I would like them to constantly, as we're going through this sequence, for them to pay attention to how these models are created, who created them, what went into them, and to really start thinking a little bit about maybe changing some things around. And in many of the questions I'm asking them here is to really start thinking about, if they were to change that particular model, how would they do it? And at the end of our unit, we will have students use net-tangle blocks to make some of those changes and really, really check for understanding, a sort of assessment, if you will, on their metacognitive skills, right? Can they understand how adding this button or changing this parameter really changes that particular model. And yes, I know it's a high expectation. Um, it's a high goal and it's a mighty goal, but I'm looking to aim high and see what develops. Thank you.